Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Now, tonight's Monday Night Raw was the go-home show for TLC, which is this Sunday. And my God, what a horrendous, boring show it was tonight. It was absolutely fucking horrendous. It's absolutely terrible. Aside from the Fiend coming out of the crate that was on fire, that was lit up by Randy Orton. Outside of that, the whole show, fucking garbage. So let's waste no time. Let's jump right into the recap of results. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with the dirt sheet, with The Miz. And this was absolutely fucking awful. This whole segment was god awful. And you know what? I did a reaction, little reaction to this when it started. So here's my reaction. And you'll tell how fucking god awful this segment was just by the little clip here. Here it is. And this is how Monday Night Raw starts tonight. This is absolutely fucking awful. With the dirt sheet, with the Miz there at Styles. Miz is reading the story. I mean, are you all enjoying this? Because I certainly ain't. So awful. But yeah, that's what Monday Night Raw kicked off with. The Miz and the dirt sheet. Where he ends up reading the Nightmare Before TLC book. Where he's sitting in the chair. And the ring was decorated for Christmas. Miz ended up revealing that him and John Morrison will do battle in a handicap match, which they end up taking on Keith Lee later on in the night. So the Miz reads the book on his opponents, Styles and McIntyre. So Miz ended up mentioning Styles' name. Snaps his fingers. Styles ends up appearing under a spotlight in the corner of the ring. So Styles ended up showing that Almost was standing outside of the ring. Miz ended up mentioning McIntyre. Snaps his fingers. McIntyre wasn't there. And then we see Morrison dressed up as a Braveheart version of Drew McIntyre. Oh my God, this whole segment was fucking awful. What a horrible way to open Monday Night Raw. So Morrison and Styles were putting on a skit, an absolute horrible comedy skit. Miz was reading, of course, the book, The Nightmare Before TLC. And Styles ended up stabbing Morrison with a sword. Miz kept reading the story as Styles ended up climbing to the top of the ladder. And Miz ended up concluding the story about him cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Styles wasn't happy with that. So Styles ended up coming down the ladder, stared at the Miz. And Styles ended up saying, that's not how the story ends. So the Miz ended up saying that they changed it to make it better. So and out came Sheamus. Sheamus ended up saying that he's seen it all here, but this was it. Sheamus went on to say that he's prepared to fight with his fists, no matter how much Styles and the others run their mouths. Styles ended up saying that if Sheamus won't be part of the solution, he's got to be a part of the problem. So Sheamus ended up saying that he prefers to be a part of the problem. So Sheamus dropped the mic and he backs Styles into the corner. Styles ended up grabbing a Christmas tree and he threw it at Sheamus. Styles ended up joining Almost at ringside. He was laughing at Sheamus. Sheamus then grabbed a gift and he ended up tossing it out of the ring, which knocked Styles down. Styles ended up looking on. Sheamus' music ended up hitting, and we had the match. Sheamus versus Styles. So Monday Night Raw went to a commercial, and I gotta say something. How many times during the commercial break have we seen that Mountain Dew commercial with the Cowboys? I counted like 20 times that commercial was played during every commercial break tonight. Same with the Axe commercial. It's like the commercial kept repeating itself. It was the Mountain Dew commercial and the Axe commercial. Played every single commercial break of Monday Night Raw. Well, now that's also awful too. So then Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. We had Sheamus versus AJ Styles, which, was a decent match here. We had the match start off with Sheamus going at Styles. He ended up dropping Styles and delivered a knee to Styles for a 2 count. Sheamus ended up taking Styles into the corner for a body shot. Styles then fought out with a forearm. Sheamus then knocked Styles down and kicked him a few times in the corner. And at the end of the match, Styles ended up winning the match. We had Sheamus limping because Sheamus ended up going for white noise. Styles ended up fighting out with elbows. And Sheamus grabbed the bottom rope because Styles ended up locking in the calf crusher on him. Styles ended up going for the Styles Clash. Sheamus then blocked it, dropped Styles with the white noise. So Sheamus ended up decking Styles. Sheamus ended up going to take Styles up in the corner for a super white noise off the top. And then Styles ended up sliding down to the mat, took Sheamus' knee out. Sheamus ended up falling from the second rope. And then that's when Styles went for the cover. There you go. Styles ended up winning the match. Post-match, Styles was talking trash to Sheamus as he made his way out with Almost. Styles ended up pointing a finger, and Sheamus ended up grabbing his arm through the ropes. Almost then makes the save, and he ended up grabbing Sheamus. Sheamus ended up getting trapped in the ropes by his leg, which he's turned upside down. Styles ended up kicking away at Sheamus while he was trapped in the ropes. Styles then unloaded with chair shots because Almost gave Styles the chair. So Styles was unloaded with chair shots to Sheamus' chest and also his leg. And the referee then ended up checking on Sheamus and begged for Styles to go to the back. And Styles ended up grabbing the chair again. He started delivering more chair shots to Sheamus' chest. So then Styles ended up telling Sheamus to enjoy everything. And he ended up saying that he can talk to his friend about it when they're in the hospital together. So that was that. Overall, decent match between Styles and Sheamus. And then we had Jeff Hardy and the New Day versus the Hurt Business. Which this match was just a very meh match in my opinion. We had Matt Riddle end up coming out with Jeff Hardy. And from what I've heard, WWE, from the looks of it, they're trying to put Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle as a tag team. They're getting ready to put Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle as a tag team together. And we also had, before the match, the Hurt Business was walking backstage. They ended up walking on a crew member who was eating some of Matt Riddle's bro nuts. So Lashley ended up pouring milk all over the guy. Tells this guy to get out of here. Sarah Schreiber ended up coming, and she was asking for comments from the Hurt Business. She ended up asking about MVP's match with Matt Riddle later on in the night. MVP ended up saying that he's going to teach Matt Riddle about respect. But for now, he's going to teach Sarah Schreiber about journalism, because she shouldn't have asked about the unstoppable team of Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, as Cedric Alexander, of course, the Hurt Business. So that was basically that. So then the match started with Jeff Hardy and the New Day versus the Hurt Business, which the match started off with Lashley and Xavier Woods, and Lashley ended up going for the Hurt Lock, just like that on Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods ended up escaping. Him and Lashley end up locking up again. So Xavier Woods ended up running the ropes. Lashley ended up leveling Xavier Woods with a shoulder. And at the end of the match, the Hurt Business ended up winning. It was back and forth between Cedric Alexander and Jeff Hardy. Lashley ended up tagging in. Jeff Hardy ended up pinning Cedric with the Twist of Fate. And then Lashley went for the Hurt Lock onto Jeff Hardy, but Jeff Hardy ended up avoiding it. Jeff Hardy then went to the top. Cedric Alexander ended up knocking him down. And that's when Lashley ended up following up and locked in the Hurt Lock on Jeff Hardy, which Jeff Hardy ended up tapping out. So the Hurt Business ended up winning the match. But overall, just a very meh match, in my opinion. And then we had Nia Jax versus Lana. This was absolutely fucking terrible. Lana ended up winning the match, where we had Lana doing kicks to Nia Jax. Nia Jax was hanging upside down in the corner, and Lana ended up forcing Nia Jax's shoulders to the mat. Lana went for the cover. And there you go. Lana ended up winning the match because of that. Post-match, we saw Shayna Baszler end up attacking Asuka backstage, which Asuka was watching the match from backstage. And we had Shayna Baszler attacking Asuka from behind, dropping her, backstage. And Lana was then attacked by Nia Jax in the ring. Jax ended up dropping a big leg on Lana. Shayna Baszler ended up entering the ring. Baszler ended up working on Lana's arm. She ended up holding Lana down as Nia Jax ended up smacking her around. Baszler ended up stomping on Lana's arm, which was hurt. Lana was screaming in pain. Baszler bended Lana's leg back and forth, and Lana was, continuing to scream. And Baszler was still bending Lana's leg back and forth as Nia Jax ended up dropping a leg on it. She ended up dropping, another leg to Lana and another one. So Asuka then ended up pulling Shayna Baszler out to the floor, and Asuka got into the ring, dropped knees to Nia Jax. Asuka ended up knocking Shayna Baszler back out to the floor. She ended up dropping Nia Jax with a roundhouse kick. And that was basically that. But awful. Awful match. And then we went to Elias. Elias was in the ring as people were picking up the remotes to change the channel. And we had Jackson Ryker. Jackson Ryker was standing right next to Elias. Oh, good. Jackson Ryker, dead on arrival by WWE putting him with Elias. So Elias ended up talking about how he lost the Symphony of Destruction match to Jeff Hardy, and that how it would have destroyed an ordinary man. And he ends up saying that he is no ordinary man. He's extraordinary Elias. More like he's extraordinarily boring and played out with this gimmick. Elias ended up saying that he was baptized in the light and lost nothing, and that he gained so much. He wanted to say that he's had visions for his purpose, visions for Jackson Ryker. He ended up saying that a man who knows deep in his heart the truth. And he says, oh, WWE stands for Walk with Elias, whatever. So Jackson Ryker ended up taking the mic, and he ended up saying that Elias's music has changed him. He has been reborn by the universal truth. Elias's music has changed you? Those songs that he did are terrible. Absolutely terrible. So he ended up saying that Elias is a visionary, and for far too long he's been interrupted and attacked. And Jackson Ryker ended up saying that he's here to stop Elias from being interrupted and attacked. So Elias ended up wanting to demonstrate the healing power of his music, and he ended up dedicating this performance to Lana. Oh my God. So Elias ended up started playing his guitar, and then R-Truth ends up interrupting. Truth ended up saying that he doesn't want to interrupt, but he wants to apologize for interrupting Elias on Main Event last week. R-Truth ended up saying that he's not an interrupter. So Elias then pointed out to R-Truth that, oh, you're interrupting again. So he ended up asking R-Truth if he's going to say anything. R-Truth ended up saying that he doesn't want to interrupt. So Elias then starts playing his guitar, and then we had the circus come out because, of course, we have to have these guys chase R-Truth for the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. So we had Drew Gulak, Eric, Lucha House Party, and Akira Tozawa chasing R-Truth for the Jobber Ninja Turtle Garbage 24/7 title. You know, the circus. So he had Eric end up rolling up Grand Metalik in the ring. Jackson Ryker ended up leveling him with a clothesline. Eric ended up rolling up Akira Tozawa. Jackson Ryker ended up tossing Tozawa back out of the ring. R-Truth ended up running away with the title. Jackson Ryker ended up chokeslamming Metalik. And then that was that. Garbage segment. So we had The Miz and John Morrison backstage. The Miz wasn't happy with Styles saying that he wants The Miz to cash in the briefcase to take the title off of Drew McIntyre because it would be an easier win for him, for The Miz. So Keith Lee then walked up, which Keith Lee, he made the news. From what I heard, Vince McMahon sent Keith Lee back down to the PC because, according to Vince McMahon, Keith Lee can't wrestle. And I'm like, what do you not see in Keith Lee? Keith Lee can wrestle. This guy, when he was in NXT, he won the NXT Championship and the North American Championship. He won them both. He made history. And you're telling me, Vince, that you see nothing in Keith Lee. That you're saying that he can't wrestle. Unbelievable. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Keith Lee, this guy should be the top superstar one of the top superstars in the company. And Vince sees nothing in him. I don't know for what reason. So Keith Lee ended up walking up, and he ended up saying that he has an idea. Miz ended up asking him if it's like what happened in the handicap match last week. So Keith Lee ended up having a coin. And he says he won't talk about where he got it from. So Keith Lee ended up proposing a coin toss. Miz ended up calling heads. So Keith Lee flips the coin and it lands on heads. So the Miz and Morrison were arguing about who won. Keith Lee ended up congratulating them, saying that they both won. And Keith Lee ended up saying that's all that the Miz and Morrison are going to win. And so that was that. So then we had the 2-on-1 handicap match. Miz and Morrison versus Keith Lee. This was just a very meh match in my opinion. Keith Lee ended up starting off the match with John Morrison. And we had the Miz and Morrison end up beating Keith Lee into the corner. Keith Lee ended up sending Miz and Morrison to the apron. And Miz ended up getting knocked out to the floor. Morrison ended up delivering a forearm to Keith Lee. Morrison ended up ducking strikes. And he avoided a kick from Keith Lee, which Keith Lee came back and ended up decking Morrison. He ended up blocking a kick. The Miz ended up flying off the top. He ended up taking Keith Lee to the corner for kicks. Miz ended up charging in, but Keith Lee ended up grabbing him, placed him on the top. Miz ended up leaping from the top, and Keith Lee ended up catching him with a overhead belly to belly. Morrison ended up coming from behind, kicked Keith Lee to one knee. Morrison then delivered a roundhouse kick and then a running knee strike to Keith Lee. Morrison then ended up charging and Keith Lee ended up lifting him up and then drives Morrison down. At the end of the match, we had the Miz and Morrison win, where Morrison ended up blocking the Spirit Bomb from Keith Lee. Miz and Morrison ended up fighting back. Miz ended up kicking Keith Lee, and Morrison then delivered a springboard kick to Keith Lee, and Miz delivered another kick to Lee. Morrison did another springboard kick, but Keith Lee ended up catching him in midair. Miz ended up delivering the chop block to Keith Lee's knee, which brought Keith Lee back down, causing John Morrison to fall on top of him, on top of Keith Lee. Miz then ended up jumping on top of John Morrison to keep Keith Lee from kicking out. So there you go. Miz and Morrison end up winning. Unbelievable. Keith Lee, WWE, they're keep on burying Keith Lee. It's another one of those NXT call-ups that is a failure in WWE's eyes. Now, I don't understand. They're saying that, oh, Keith Lee can wrestle. Keith Lee could wrestle. Look how he was booked perfectly in NXT. Going back to it, he was the first guy to win the NXT Championship and the North American Championship. He held both titles around him. Triple H knew how to book Keith Lee. Booked perfectly. Comes up to Monday Night Raw. Keith Lee comes up to Monday Night Raw. They strip him of his NXT theme. They gave him a horrible, generic theme to come out to. I like his theme music now. His theme music now is better than the generic theme that he came out with when he came up to Monday Night Raw. But still, WWE doesn't even know how to book Keith Lee. Keith Lee, the only points that they had was either oh, Keith Lee would win via disqualification or count out. That's all that WWE will give Keith Lee. That's the only times that he would win. Whether if it was a count out or a disqualification. And now we could all sing Keith Lee, oh, he's buried in his glory. Oh, buried in his glory. Man. I can't believe it. I can't believe how they messed up on Keith Lee. And they sent him back down to the PC. Oh, because he can't wrestle. So then we went to Bray Wyatt coming out. Bray Wyatt made a field trip from the Firefly Funhouse into the Thunderdome. Bray Wyatt came out wearing a ugly Christmas sweater of the Fiend, which I actually like. I actually like how the ugly sweater of the Fiend looks. I thought it was very cool looking. So Bray Wyatt was in the ring. He looked over. We saw the barricade, and we saw Mercy the Buzzard, Huskus the Pig, and Ramblin' Rabbit there. And Bray Wyatt ended up taking the mic. He ended up saying, hello to the Fireflies. So he ended up saying that it's so nice to see their smiling faces at the Thunderdome. He ended up saying that it warms his soul. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he has an apology to make. He ended up saying that he's sorry to Randy Orton. He ended up saying that he knows they were having the time of their lives last week. The time of their lives? That match was terrible last week, the main event to Monday Night Raw, which ended in a disqualification. Because, of course, we're going to get the match at TLC. So why book that match last week when we're going to be seeing that TLC? Only Bray Wyatt's going to have a mask on and he's going to be the Fiend. But Bray Wyatt wanted to say that things got out of hand. One thing led to another, and he ended up saying that it was just one giant misunderstanding. Because he knows sometimes. He ended up saying that he has a very sad, sick, deranged, twisted mind of his own. Anyway. Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he knows he has some things to fix about himself. And he really wishes him and Orton got the chance to fix what they started. Bray Wyatt ended up saying that this Sunday, after Randy Orton faces him at TLC, the Fiend, he's not sure what will be left of Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt wanted to say that there shall be no fun and games at TLC, just sadness and pain. He ended up saying, but yowie wowie, that's all right. It sounds splendid. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he's decided to celebrate since TLC will be no laughing matter. He ended up saying that he's prepared some jokes for Randy Orton, and they're going to be hysterical. So Bray Wyatt ended up going on delivering, some corny jokes. Randy Orton was on the screen. He was yelling out for Bray Wyatt. So Randy Orton ended up saying that last week, he said when his time came, he would look the devil in the face and tell him the most evil son of a bitch has come home. He ended up saying that after he put Bray Wyatt down with the RKO last week, something changed. Orton ended up, didn't say this often, but he was outmaneuvered last week by the Fiend and not Bray Wyatt. Orton ended up saying that won't happen at TLC and that it won't happen tonight. He said he knows how much Bray Wyatt loves playing games and can't help himself, and that he thinks Bray Wyatt should extend his little field trip and come pay him a visit. Orton then suggested they play a little game of hide and seek. So Bray Wyatt ended up laughing. He ended up saying that he can't resist the game. So he accepts the game of hide and seek. Orton ended up telling Bray Wyatt to come find him. So Bray Wyatt ended up laughing. He ended up saying that he's coming to find Orton. He said, "Let the games begin." So that was that. And then we had Mace versus Ricochet. Mustafa Ali was on commentary. We had T-Bar, Reckoning, Slapjack standing next to him. And this was just a terrible match, in my opinion. Mace ended up winning. Mace ended up grabbing Ricochet, hit a tilt-a-whirl slam on Ricochet. And before this, we had Mustafa Ali end up ordering T-Bar to interfere. He ended up letting Slapjack interfere, which Slapjack hit the ring. Ricochet was up top, and he ended up kicking Slapjack from the apron. T-Bar interfered. Ricochet ended up kicking him right from the ring apron out to the floor, which T-Bar then ended up hitting the announce table, which Mace then took the advantage and hit a sit-down powerbomb to Ricochet, but Ricochet ended up kicking out. So Mustafa Ali then stood up from the announce table and he ordered Mace to finish Ricochet, which Mace did. So that was that. Post-match, Retribution ended up coming into the ring, and Mustafa Ali was yelling at Ricochet. He ended up saying to Ricochet that this doesn't end until he says it ends, and that won't be until he joins Retribution, Ricochet. So T-Bar ended up putting Ricochet down, face first into the mat, and then he knelt down on Ricochet's face, and that was that. But how far can they bury Ricochet? Man, how low can they bury him? Or how much more lower can they bury him? Man, when is Ricochet's contract coming up? When his contract is up, hope he goes to AEW. Leaves WWE, goes to AEW. He'll be treated much better there. And then we saw Bray Wyatt walking backstage. Matt Riddle was there. Bray Wyatt ended up asking Matt Riddle if he's seen Randy Orton. Matt Riddle ended up telling Bray Wyatt that he hasn't seen Orton, but he has seen the future. And the future is bronouns. So Matt Riddle ended up presenting a whiteboard with another business idea. So Bray Wyatt ended up saying that he's a little busy and that he wishes Matt Riddle good luck. So Bray Wyatt ended up walking off. Matt Riddle ended up telling Bray Wyatt to have his people call Matt Riddle's people. So Ramblin' Rabbit then appeared behind Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle ended up saying that Ramblin' Rabbit reminds him of Baby Yoda. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that he's going to call him Baby Broda. Very cheesy, very corny. So Matt Riddle ended up talking about his pet rabbit named Skipper. And he ended up presenting a carrot and a marker for Ramblin' Rabbit. So Matt Riddle wanted Ramblin' Rabbit to autograph the carrot for his pet rabbit. So that was that. Now we went to Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. This only lasted a minute. Dana Brooke won the match by disqualification, which Nia Jax ended up shoving Dana Brooke off the top. Post-match, Nia Jax ended up staying on Dana Brooke, continued to beat up on Dana Brooke, brought her back into the ring. Her and Shayna Baszler end up double teaming on her. Mandy Rose end up returning. we had Mandy Rose return tonight. She ran down with the kendo stick, and they ended up trying to double team Mandy Rose, Nia Jax, and Shayna Baszler. But Asuka ended up running down. Mandy Rose and Asuka end up fighting off Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And that was basically that. And then we had R-Truth backstage. R-Truth ran into Huskus the Pig. Bray Wyatt ended up walking up, ended up saying that he was worried sick looking for Huskus. Bray Wyatt then warned Huskus about talking to strangers. R-Truth ended up telling Huskus to listen to his father. And then he asked Bray Wyatt if that is his son. Bray Wyatt ended up yelling, "Hide and seek." So that was that. So then we saw Bray Wyatt again. Bray Wyatt ended up walking up on a room, and the door was open. It was a dark room. There was one light that was turned on in the middle of the room, and the light was shining on on a rocking chair. The rocking chair was moving. Of course, the rocking chair looked like, when Bray Wyatt was in his, buzzards gimmick. Of course, Bray Wyatt, used to sit in the rocking chair. So Bray Wyatt ended up proceeding. He ended up sitting in the chair. Orton ended up creeping up from behind, and he ended up attacking Bray Wyatt, knocking him out of the chair. Him and Bray Wyatt end up brawling on the floor. Orton then ended up sending Bray Wyatt into a garage door. Orton then ended up placing Bray Wyatt inside of, it was a crate, it was a wooden box crate. Beats on Bray Wyatt. Orton ended up shutting the lid of the crate, the wooden box crate. He ends up latching it. And this kind of reminded me of, well, I'll get to it. So Orton ended up walking over. He ended up grabbing a tank of gasoline. The tank of gasoline was sitting on top of a production crate. And Orton ended up pouring the gas all over the wooden box crate. So Orton ended up emptying the gas can. He ends up grabbing the lighter. So he ends up lighting it. He drops the lighter on top of the box, and then the box goes up in flames. It goes on fire. So Orton was staring at it. He was smiling. And, this kind of reminded me of when at No Mercy 2005, when Randy Orton was in his feud with The Undertaker at that time, where he was fighting The Undertaker in a casket match at No Mercy of that year in 2005, where he ended up closing the casket on The Undertaker. He poured all the gas on the casket. He was also with his father, Hall of Famer Cowboy Bob Orton. And, Orton ended up pouring the gas all over the casket, and he had the lighter. He threw the lighter on the casket. The casket went on fire. It kind of reminded me of that, because when he did it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting No Mercy 2005 vibes from his casket match with The Undertaker, where he lit the casket on fire with The Undertaker inside of it. But then we had the Fiend suddenly flies out of the box. So Orton was shocked. The Fiend ended up applying the mandible claw, and the Fiend ended up manhandling Orton with the mandible claw. He manhandled him against the door, and then down to the floor. And Orton was laid out from the mandible claw thanks to the Fiend. And that was that. But I really enjoyed this. In my opinion, this was the only good part of Monday Night Raw tonight. So just really enjoyed it. It gave me, vibes, like I said, of the No Mercy 2005 match, with him and The Undertaker in the casket match, which, it happened after the match at No Mercy 2005, where Orton ended up lighting the casket on fire. And then we had MVP versus Matt Riddle. This was a 1-minute match. Matt Riddle ended up winning, ended up hitting the floating bro on MVP. Of course, before the match, Matt Riddle ended up coming out with his box of bro nuts, or as I would say, his Dunkin' Bro nuts. But post-match, Bobby Lashley ended up running down. He tried to attack Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle then retreated out of the ring. So Matt Riddle ended up looking on with his bro nuts. So that was that. And then we had the Ascension ceremony with AJ Styles. And we had Tom Phillips. He was in the ring. And the ring and also the ringside area was filled with tables, ladders, and chairs. So Tom Phillips ended up hyping up Styles versus Drew McIntyre at TLC and says they will join him to raise the title belt over the ring. So Phillips ended up bringing out Styles first. Styles came out with Almost. And then out came Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion. McIntyre ended up carrying the sword, of course. Tom Phillips ended up saying that they will have a chance to address each other after the WWE Championship is raised. Styles ended up reminding us that he and McIntyre have never faced, and that he figured he should do a deep dive into who McIntyre is. Styles went on to say that he was shocked to find out that it took McIntyre 19 years to climb the mountain and become the WWE champion. Styles ended up asking, how is that possible? So then Styles ended up taunting McIntyre over his loss to Randy Orton, and he ended up saying that, yeah, he beat Orton to get the WWE championship back, but it changed him. So Styles went on about how McIntyre is taking risks, and Styles was bragging about defending the WWE Championship in a TLC match, once, and he ended up saying that he knows what it means to be a champion. Styles ended up saying that if he has to take every table, every ladder, every chair in the Thunderdome and break them over McIntyre's back to get the title back, he will do just that. Styles ended up telling McIntyre to kiss the WWE Championship goodbye because it's going to look phenomenal around his waist. So McIntyre ended up saying that was a nice little speech and that he's going to present the facts. He ended up saying that he's always wanted this match. McIntyre ended up admitted that he's never been in a TLC match, while Styles has had some success in them. McIntyre ended up going on to say that he was the WWE champion that held the company all year through the uncertainty. He ended up saying that he's the champion that does not crack under pressure, the champion that's going to tear Styles apart on Sunday. McIntyre went on to say that every man dies, but not every man truly lives. He ended up saying that he's willing to do whatever it takes to himself and to Styles to make sure he keeps the WWE Championship on Sunday. McIntyre ended up saying that Styles has to ask himself if he's willing to do the same. McIntyre then ended up tossing the mic. He takes the WWE Championship from around his waist. he latches the title to the holder, and the holder is raised above the ring. Styles ends up asking McIntyre, what if it's not just him he has to face in the match on Sunday? So the Miz and John Morrison then attack. They end up shoving a ladder over on McIntyre. So McIntyre was taken down by the Miz, Morrison, and Styles. McIntyre then ended up fighting back, ended up delivering the Claymore to the Miz. He then knocked a ladder into Morrison with the Claymore. Styles ended up trying to come from behind. He got dropped by McIntyre. McIntyre then ended up tossing a ladder out to the floor and almost ended up tossing one half of the ring steps into the ring to get McIntyre's attention. Styles then took advantage of McIntyre staring almost down, and he ended up attacking McIntyre with a cheap shot. Styles ended up flying in from the ring apron with the phenomenal forearm. Styles ended up stopping on McIntyre while McIntyre was down. Styles then ordered Almost to get a ladder. Almost then slides the ladder into the ring. Styles grabs the ladder, and he kept ramming the ladder into McIntyre, and he tossed it on top of McIntyre while he was down. Almost then ends up handing a steel chair to Styles. Styles then unloaded on McIntyre with chair shots. Almost then ended up sliding a table and a ladder into the ring. Styles stands both the table and the ladder up, being on McIntyre. Styles ended up placing McIntyre on top of the table. He then starts to climb the ladder. Styles then leapt from halfway up the ladder, and he put McIntyre through the table with the elbow. Styles then climbed back up to the top of the ladder to retrieve the WWE Championship, which McIntyre got up, and he tried to climb up the ladder, but he couldn't get to it. So that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Overall, horrendous show, god-awful, in my opinion, and the show did nothing to hype up TLC on Sunday. Yeah, that's it for the Monday Night Raw recap and results video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and there will be no Dynamite review on Wednesday. So there will be no Dynamite review. But until the next video, I'll see you all later.